Hello and welcome to the second show of Little Birdie Friday Lines. I'm your host, Luke O'Brien, and joining me today for AFL is MG, as always, and Toprope for NRL to preview round one for season 2022. Friday Lines is brought to you by Little Birdie TV and topsport.com.au. MG, welcome.
Thanks, OB. Welcome to the hosting chair. You finally kicked Scooty out full time. He'll be disappointed on the bench, Scooty, won't he?
Yeah, finally got rid of him. It's just taken me a little bit of time, but that's all right. We've got rid of him, so just bear with us as I host today. I haven't sweat this much in a long time, so just bear with me. But and then we've also got Toprope on the line. Toprope, welcome.
Thanks, but let's not limit me to just the NRL. I'm also here to keep the AFL well and truly honest as well. So I'll keep you boys in check when talking about the other game.
Beautiful. And round one, NRL, hope springs eternal for everyone but Manly, so it's great.
Yeah, I think not much brings rugby league together, but seeing Manly get flogged on opening night, everyone can get on board that.
And we will get to it, but Penrith looked pretty good up there.
Penrith looked real sharp. The final score, to be honest, probably flooded Manly. And then they got a lucky try before the break. But, Penrith looking really, really good and kind of really stamped their mark with Nathan Cleary. That's
right. Yeah, got a fair player that he might have to come back through the was it the Jersey flag still up there?
if he Benjamin Buttons it and goes back 5 or 6 years in age, but New South Wales Cup, I think, is what you're looking at. I think.
That's it. Sorry, my apologies. I'm more a VFL man myself. So we'll get straight into it. AFL round one starts next Wednesday, 16th of March. Grand final rematch. It's a bit different. Normally it's a Thursday night. Carlton, Richmond, but Bulldogs and Melbourne. Any initial thoughts there, MG?
Yeah, it was just obviously we're about a week out now. Obviously with the 5 days, with not knowing the teams, I guess they're going in pretty much close to full strength. There's a few queries here and there at the moment with maybe Keith coming up for the Bulldogs, a bit of a query, and Petty's probably the main one might miss for Melbourne.
I think with Petty, you've got Tomlinson coming straight back in. He looked pretty good against Carlton. He was probably one of their shining lights coming back after 10 months out with that ACL. So I don't think you lose much there for Melbourne. They looked, was it 7 or 8 50-metre penalties last week? I think they'll stamp those out. I think they look pretty good, Melbourne again. So, I'm still not sure on the Bulldogs. I think I said it last week. I'm still not convinced. But they've certainly got some good players in the Bont and Treloar and McRae.
Yeah, went to watch their practice match on last Friday with against Brisbane. So it was a good match to go and watch. Obviously, potentially 2 top 4 sides. Live, very impressive the way they do move the ball. I think if Melbourne can control Norton, which you think May and Lever combined would do the job there, and they know the focus going in. The worry for me is outside of Norton, where are the goals potentially going to come for the Bulldogs?
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, couldn't agree more. Look, you've got English down there, but I don't know if they're going to go with Martin or English in the ruck. I'm not sold on English just yet. I think he's a ruckman, but he's probably a lighter size around the ground ruckman than you sort of your crash and bash like Martin is, and then up forward, I think he can be defendable. I
think. I don't think English knows where he is with it either. Right. I don't think the coach has given a clear indication. I don't think he's been given a clean crack at it either way as well. But, I'm not sure you want to be putting up his hand to go up full-time in the ruck this week against Gorn anyway. It's probably not the initiation you want to stamp your mark with the coach.
No, you want to slide back in nicely.
Yeah, maybe let Martin take this week and then see how he goes and put your hand up for week 2. But, listen, if from a betting point of view, the market shifted a little bit, opened up 8, from the off-season, I guess, lines. They put them up pretty quickly. Early indications probably since the games that we've seen on the weekend, she's shifted 1 point to Melbourne for the 9. I think the betting trend may go Melbourne's way and maybe another point or 2. I can't see too much money going the Bulldogs, but if you're Bulldogs, I'd just hold off for as late as possible. I think you'll see double figures if you're keen on the plus side there.
Right. And interesting stats head-to-head.
Sorry, that's a question with a notes here. What's the record of kind of defending premiers round one? Do they typically come out of the blocks, or are they usually a bit flat kind of over the last kind of 5-10 years?
Well, interesting question. Normally they're sort of a couple of months behind pre-season wise because they're sort of the way that the AFL structure the pre-season. When you finish is when you return. So there's sort of that, a month to 6 weeks behind. Some of their older players might not come back till after Christmas, whereas this year everyone's come back a little bit sooner because of COVID, and a lot of teams couldn't. A lot of players couldn't travel in the off season. So it's going to be interesting to see. Normally they are a bit slow. The premiers, I think every premiership team in sort of sporting history are a bit slow, except for the Melbourne Storm, who always hit the ground running. It's an interesting point. But I think Melbourne look pretty sharp.
Yeah, I think Toprope also, we haven't had the grand final replay as the round one fixture. Normally the AFL hasn't done it that way. So it's kind of a return to it. So I guess from that point of view, it's a bit different with the stats saying how do they respond, because both of these teams are, I guess, on the same timetable in terms of how they've come back and what preseason they've been able to put in.
And another interesting stat as well is that Bulldogs have won 2 out of the last 3 head-to-head at the MCG.
Yeah.
Not their home ground. They normally people sort of say that the Bulldogs, they like playing on a fast deck at Marvel, but not the case. And they've won 2 of their last 3 against the D's as well. So, so it's interesting.
Yeah, traditionally also early, it tends to favour the plus sides as well, especially in round one. So, the Bulldogs will have their support. It's just where the market kind of rests. And I think at the moment it's already just come a little bit 8 to 9. I think you'll see at least 10.
Okay.
So I'm just saying from a Bulldogs point of view, I think they'll provide the value, but you might see 10, maybe even 11 come game time next Wednesday.
Okay. And then we move on to the highly anticipated second match of round one, Carlton versus Richmond. Huge test here for Carlton. If they get blown out of the water, blown off the park, heaven help us, they'll be coming from everywhere. Richmond look sharp, weren't up against much against Hawthorn down there in Tassie, which was a great concept down there in Devonport, healing for Hillcrest down there. This game, I'm really looking forward to this game, just to see where Carlton's at, see what Richmond bring, and I just hope, I pray that Carlton can put something together.
Well, Toprope could probably ask the same question. This is more pertinent to this game, where he says, how do they start the year? Because I think Richmond are on maybe 13-game winning streak against Carlton here, Toprope. So this is normally the first fixture of the season. I think it's been going on for quite a while now. And Richmond just a bit like your Melbourne Storm, Toprope. They are repeat. They are pretty much 4 to 5 goal winners every week. I think the last six times they've met, it's been either 4 or 5 goal margin. It's been a huge swing early in this line. 9 plus 19.5 down to 14 and 15 now resting in the marketplace. So, listen, we had a bit of a discussion last week. You're bullish on the Blues. You had them. I think you had them in the 8. I had them outside the 8. And I'm more bullish on Richmond, where I don't think you had. So if we were betting head to head, OB, it would be, this is a big swing game for us in terms of where these sides, I guess, are tracking. For Richmond, I just think it is what they have a huge psychological advantage over this team. I would be really surprised if Carlton were able to knock Richmond off. Just from that factor, they'll walk onto this ground. Just they know they own Carlton, unless Carlton are really competitive in the first quarter and show physically and mentally that they're up for Richmond. I just think it'll be the same old.
Yeah, Robbie Tarrant looked really good in the Richmond colours. It's just something about his physique. He's a good player. Missed a lot of last year with injury at North. It comes across, slots in seamlessly. Grimes out, I think, is going to hurt them a little bit. He can play tall and small down there.
Definitely hurt him.
The talk out of Carlton is that Sam Walsh might play. He's pushing hard. I wouldn't risk him. I don't know the fascination with players trying to play round one. I just don't get it. Just rule him out and say, no, he's not back until round 3. Just get it over and done with, out of the way. I don't know what the fascination with all these players trying to push to the line to round 1, and then by sort of round 6 or 7, they need another break. Just take your time. It's a long year.
I agree. I'd be surprised if he's playing, and I don't think he will. And maybe that's part of the reason why the market push is. But Toprope, I just think if you're going to monitor this match, I know you're keen to have an AFL bet for round 1. OB's probably not going to agree with you, or agree with me, sorry, but I think minus 14.5 right now. And what we noticed about Carlton last week, we banged on last year, so we banged on it quite a lot, is they were favourites with AFL modelers. They were backed more often than any other team. And their profit on turnover was horrendous last year. They just did not come to the party at all. I'm not sure if the modelers are going to regroup this year in the off-season and maybe rate them a little less, but obviously, our early market, we've seen them move a good 5 points in the market. And any less than 14, I'm just going to keep backing them. A bit like Toprope last night when Penrith drifted unbelievably, and he said, just keep putting the chips in.
So as you well know, MG, I'm not much of an AFL follower, but I do keep some stats on it. And Carlton, since 2012, have a ridiculously insane record when getting a big start. Cover at something like 70% when they're in Melbourne, getting a start of 3 or more goals. So, and when that goes in, when they get played in the day, that's up to about 85% in covers, which is over a 10-year period. So I can understand why they were popular with the modelers.
And who said Toprope doesn't like AFL?
Yeah, well, that percentage would be a bit higher, Toprope, when you take out Richmond, because it just does not match up with the Richmond matchup, and this will be at the MCG, and Toprope, this one will be at night, so you can bin the day stat there.
So it's all pointing towards Richmond.
Is for me at this stage. Yeah.
Okay. As we have a quick look at the Premiership market, not much movement there. Melbourne $4.40, Brisbane at $7, Western Bulldogs $7, Port Adelaide at $11, Geelong and Richmond at the 12s, Swans at 13, and the Giants and the Bombers sort of rounding out that top echelon.
Yeah, I don't think from a bookmaker point of view, I don't think my past definitely didn't take too much notice of the preseason games. It's just only the clubs really know what's going on in between. I just think you've got to do your ratings and things. So I don't think they take too much notice. Been very little change. I think Brisbane may have come in half a point on their away win to Bulldogs, another top 4 side. And if you like a few sides, they'll do it. But I think overall, OB, on the weekend's games of what happened, I think everything was pretty much, other than maybe Carlton beating Melbourne, I don't think there was too much out of order from what we saw.
And have you had a look at the futures markets at all for the individual awards for season 2022?
Yeah, so we'll start with the Brownlow, OB. So, last year we see the market up there with the Bont at $8.50 favourite. So it's obviously Bunchfield, I think last year might have been about $6.57 the favourite. So this is a bit more wide open. We were just discussing before we come on the show that at the top 12 in the betting, there's 6 past winners. So there's a lot of meat around this. If you like someone, it's hard to talk you out of it. And if you went down the list, you could easily make a case for tipping anyone. Unfortunately, we were big on the Bont last year all the way through, tried not to jump off the ship. Unfortunately, found one better on the night. If you'd sat me down at this time last year and said the Bont was going to go score 33 votes and get beat, I'd be here now. But anyway, that's the way it went. So he started at $13 last year, and he's going to start favourite now at $8.50. The pluses for a player like the Bont, he's still in his prime age group. He's obviously going to be up near the top. They'll win plenty of games. And other than one or two others, they do have a deep midfield. But when the Bont plays well, he's a standout. He's a bit like a few others on that list. So I'm not going to talk you out of someone like the Bont. I know you've got your opinions here, but I'm going to look down a bit further down the list, and I'm going to look for a just unbelievable piler to games ratio is Martin from Richmond. His age is probably just against him in terms of getting up there on in age, but this guy's a standout when Richmond play well, and obviously that Martin's a big part of it. He just piles. He's just, and I don't think anything's going to change for that. And I think just with the potential of the forward setup and the structure with maybe Bolter going forward for Richmond this year and having Riewoldt and Lynch, I think Martin will be pushed more back into the midfield. So that's what I like about it. He looks fit, looks ready to go. He had a lot go on last year, and I just think from reports that I can gather I reckon he's ready to go. More time in the midfield. I expect Richmond to have bounce back this year. I think they'll definitely play finals. So $16 for me. If I was going to pick one, I'm going to lay it with Martin.
And I think he has to play midfield. I think that just with their midfield dynamic at the moment, Cochin, he's been a fantastic player, but sort of you look at him and Selwood sort of just getting a little bit slower, aging a little bit. Martin's got that point of difference. Jack Graham's sort of that bull. Yeah. Shane Edwards is the class, the touch. But Martin, and he brings other people into the game, so people gravitate towards him, and it opens up the overlap. I think Kane Lambert's going to be a big out for Richmond, yes. And the way that Martin plays, they sort of wax quite well, and they can sort of spit forward at
Bolton
times.
Going in. Shai Bolton,
yep, good player. That's right. You don't know what Sydney Stack's going to do. If he's going to play, sort of half back, or he might go through the midfield as well. But I like your bet of Martin at $16. I think Clayton Oliver, proven vote getter, in a good side. He's going to get great service from Gawn. I know he's got Petrarca there, but he outshone him last year in the Brownlow. Look, he's a terrific player. A couple I'm going to throw at you. I like Callum Mills, $23, co-captain now. He's going to play more midfield time. From all reports up there, his foot and his body are right. So I'm an unabashed Callum Mills fan. So I like him. And the other one I'm going to throw out there, a bit of value at the 250 to 1 mark, Darcy Moore. Defenders don't win the Brownlow, but if any time someone's going to win the Brownlow, a defender's going to win the Brownlow, it's a player like Darcy Moore. I don't know if Collingwood's going to win enough games, but he's the defender that you probably think could poll some votes, but it's still going to be a midfielder's award by the looks of things.
It's a big value ticket. You must have too much money if you're betting backman in a poor side as well. I know what you're saying. Like he obviously has a lot of inset markers, but one of the golden rules in Brownlow at the moment, if you're not backing a midfielder, you're donating your cash to your favourite charity, I think. So,
and as we cross over to the Coleman Medal, some interesting markets there as well. Harry Mackay, $3.30, a little bit short for mine, Harry. But then Hawkins and Cameron sort of $6 and $6.50. Will they take goals away from each other? Lynch at $10 looks good. Franklin at $11. The astronaut at $13, Ben Brown at $13, and then Josh Kennedy at the Eagles, $13. I think that's a little bit short for mine. And then Maxi King at $14. With his brother re-signing up there on the Gold Coast, he'd probably like to prove some people wrong and to say I'm the better king. So, any initial tip from you, MG?
Listen, we certainly lost our money last year. We were laying Mackay around that even money for best part of a couple of months for the Coleman last year. I just thought there was some big balls that might have run over him, not to be. Left the money on the table in that one last year. I'm happy to lay Mackay off the bat, $3.30. I think it's far too short in this market. I definitely wouldn't be diving into Harry Mackay at the $3.30. I'm going to look down the page a bit. Look, the one on the front page, I guess for me, is probably Jeremy Cameron. I still think Geelong will play finals this year. I don't think they'll fall off a cliff like some expect them to do. I just think their home ground advantage, they've just got too much class in there. And Jeremy Cameron is class. The only problem is with Jeremy Cameron is whether he puts a full season on the park. I think last year he played 15 games. He got about 40 goals. So in terms of goals per games, if he'd played the full 22, he would have been right there at the finish. So I just think at the 650, Jeremy Cameron's probably a bet, and the value play for me is, which might surprise OB a little, is Fritz of Melbourne. If you actually look up the goals last year, I know he had finals included, but he actually finished second on 59. I think Harry Mackay got 62. So I know he had a few extra games. Hawkins won on 62. I take it back, didn't he?
No, Mackay won.
Sorry.
Yeah, Mackay won.
I just like the way Fritz goes about it. He obviously had an unbelievable grand final, kicked 6. The first practice game, he kicked 5. I just think, with Melbourne's forward line, they kind of spread it. But this guy he has a knack, and he's one of the best kicks for goal. So he doesn't need many opportunities. And I just think if you're talking about averaging 3 goals to be right in the hunt of the Coleman Medal, I think $18 is a pretty good bet.
Well, I like one at odds myself. I like Joe Danaher at 15. I just think that I heard an interview with Chris Fagan. He sort of wants Danaher to be a bit more selfish.
Yep.
That a lot of people are sort of saying that play that selfless type role. But I think when you looked at when Buddy Franklin was in his best form, he'd have shots from everywhere. But it brought others into the game around him. So I like Danaher at the $15 myself.
Yeah, I was 1 year too late for me. I was keen on him last year, OB. I thought he'd nestle into that forward line last year. I was really bullish on Brisbane, and the thing Danaher, if he's on point, is he misses far too many goals, and I just think he tries to kick the ball too hard, too far all the time. And if he just stays within, it's a bit like a golf swing. The harder you swing off the tee, generally the further the ball goes in the direction you don't want it to. I just think Joe Danaher's got such a pure kick. He just needs to stay within his arc. And he gets so many shots on goal. So at $15, you can't talk anyone out of that either. And top side, they're very offensive, and they'll kick plenty.
And we'll just have a quick look at the rising star. Looks a race in two, Dacos and Horne-Francis. Dacos was excellent on the weekend. Horne-Francis he just keeps on keeping on. He'll be a really good player this year. Hagen a little bit short at the 9. Finn Callahan up there at GWS at 9.50. Campbell at 10. Josh Ward, I know that you like at 11 there, MG. And, the one I like is Josh Richelli, I think is how you say it. He's there at, what's that, on the fourth or fifth line of betting at $12. And then the one that's a little bit of value is Josh Sin at 34 for mine. Port Adelaide, left footer. He's going to play. I think Ken Hinkley said he is going to play. So, there he is on the second line of betting there.
Yeah, good value pick. I like it. They, I think the news just floated through yesterday or something that they signed him up after just having one game with a practice game against Adelaide. Huge left foot, hasn't he? When I think you said that a couple of years ago he's an absolute top 5 standout and had a few injuries and stuff like that, so he slipped down. But Port have scouted well, and obviously what they've seen, they've signed him. I think it was a 3-year deal on top of what he got, so they're not mucking around.
Absolutely.
He's got a bit like a Dawson kind of from who left the Swans, that kind of range on his left foot. Everyone loves a left footer, so
that's right.
If they can, they find a spot in Port, tremendous value pick. Yeah, I'm just going to go with the other Josh on that front page list, Josh Ward. Like what I've seen. The problem is you've got, well, not the problem, but when you're looking at these, the guys like Dacos, Horne-Francis and Ward, they're obviously in the bottom 4 to 6 sides as well. So they get to play every game, you think, without they don't have that competition
Absolutely.
Of someone like Sin for Port Adelaide. He might only get 2, 3, 4 chances this year to hold his spot, whereas Dacos is probably guaranteed other than injuries or something like that. Horne-Francis is the same thing. So, the top 2 are going to be hard to beat, and they're probably going to take a while for them to be dislodged anywhere near the favourites, I would have thought. I just like the way Josh Ward goes about it. Hawthorn, I think $11 is a value ticket there.
Absolutely. And as you said, he's going to play.
Yeah.
He looked good on the weekend down in Davenport. So, definitely one to watch. Thanks, MG. Punters, you can locate the AFL Stings for $22 a week in the Little Birdie Live shop for all the AFL betting action. We'll take a quick break and then back next with a little bit of rugby league with Toprope. Welcome back to Friday Lines, brought to you by topsport.com.au, family owned and operated for 35 years. Bet with a bookie you can trust. Bet with topsport.com.au. Time for a little bit of rugby league with Toprope. Welcome, Toprope. What have you got for us?
Just very, very excited. The way the show's been structured, you would have thought the AFL had started last night, but no. And the NRL's kicked off, and after 160-odd days of misery, we're back at it, complaining about the bunker and betting up a treat and watching some cracking rugby league. So really, really good start to the year last night. Big game, couple of top 4 sides against each other. Penrith hosting Manly. Manly were off the map following the Nathan Cleary withdrawal. They went from 4.5-point dogs to 2.5-point favourites, but were never in the contest.
I'm not an umpire basher, but or referee critic, but Ashley Klein up to his old tricks.
He is absolutely one of the greatest thieves going around. He delivers the most ridiculous decisions. Like, honestly, if you just polled Twitter every time, you would get a 90-10 version against some of his decisions that go the way he calls. The first one, Penrith would, of course, disallowed the first 2 tries. And that first one was fair enough. It was a reasonably obvious obstruction. But the second one was ruled obstruction on Tom Trbojevic coming out Luai. So Trbojevic ran straight at Luai, and Brian To'o did not run behind him. So how he reached that decision is anyone's guess. All's well that ends well, I guess, but it does not bode well for another year. If he's 1 in the middle or 2 in the bunker, and with Henry Perenara now gone, I think Ashley Klein's front and centre is the game's worst official.
And I know we spoke about it last week, but the new rule interpretations and style of play, anything that come out of last night's game?
That was good. I didn't see a lot of it last night. I think it was a pretty fearsome defensive match. I think there might have been one penalty from inside, but it certainly didn't kind of dominate the game, and I certainly didn't kind of see any notable style change. I think where you are probably going to notice it is when a good team plays a bad team. The good team typically would just lay all over and give it away and then be set. But you'll see how that plays out this year. It might do a little bit of evening up of that, but a couple of good sides didn't have a huge impact.
And as you look to the rest of round 1, hope springs eternal for a lot of these sides. The Raiders and the Sharks, 6 p.m, GIO Stadium tonight. What's your thoughts up there, Toprope?
Yeah, absolutely. Love the Sharkies in this one. Was surprised these guys opened underdogs, so they're backed into slight favourites now. They'll be missing Coach Craig Fitzgibbon, who was supposed to debut tonight, but now has COVID, so his debut will be pushed back a week. But Sharks have a really good pack. They've signed a couple of Storm players, Nico Hines and Dale Finucane. Raiders debuting 2 players here, centre James Schiller, halfback Brad Schneider. I think this Raiders side looks very, very ordinary. It looks thin across the park. Yeah, I can see the Sharks putting a number here. I'll be backing the Sharks. I'll be having a little nibble on the 13 plus here.
Toprope, can I just ask a quick question from NRL novice, but I like to have a bet in the totals. Last night's total went clearly under. I know Penrith have got an unbelievable defence. They couldn't crack it. I see the bookies have already jumped on the under train with a few of these games. Tonight's game's 44 down to 42 and also 46.5 to 45. Do you think the early betting trend or the way you've seen the game so far, I know we've only had one actual game, do you think the totals of what happened last year to push them up so much might be that mid-range now where they're still a little high, or too early to tell?
I would rather be betting the under than the over on most of these games. I haven't got a strong read on it yet based on the rule interpretation. It's going to be hard to get a read on this weekend. Sydney and Brisbane have both been underwater for a good part of the last week. So even though it wasn't raining last night, it's still very, very wet, heavy conditions. So, hard to tell. But these mid-40s totals, I kind of see this playing out a bit like probably the last kind of half dozen weeks played out last year. I think the lines are just a little too high, and I'll be betting the under kind of wherever I can, and that will include in this Sharks Raiders game. I think that total is too high, and the same with the Broncos South total.
As we look ahead to the Broncos versus South, Friday 8:05 at Suncorp Stadium. Currently, Brisbane 365 and South Sydney Rabbitohs $1.29. The line 10.5 over and under of now has been brought into 45 points. No Rendiggity up there for the Broncos, Toprope?
Yeah, pretty sad for those who are looking forward to this game. Of course, up against his old club round one, COVID's nabbed him as well. But I give the Broncos a puncher's chance here. I'm not sure about South this year. We kind of discussed that last week, but particularly round one with no Latrell. They've got a couple of stars. They've certainly got the 3 or 4 best players on the field. South, but whether they should be double-digit road favourites, I'm not 100% sure about that. I think the line here is too big. Early season home underdogs used to be absolute cash money. Probably drifted off a bit the last few years, but still a positive record. So I'll be taking the plus here. Broncos have also been underrated at home from at least a betting point of view as well. They've covered, I think it was, 9 of their last 12 getting more than a converted try at Suncorp. So 7 of their last 9 getting double digits. So, look, I expect South to win. I expect South to walk over 2 points, but the bet here is the plus 10.5.
Yeah, I thought South at $1.29 did look a little bit short for mine, especially up there at Suncorp, round one. New coach and Jason Demetriou up against the season campaigner in Kevy Walters. You just don't know what to expect. That's probably why the Broncos are at 365. But yeah, I did think South were a little bit short at the $1.29. Yeah,
just they're pretty hard to take at that price. And if you're on the feed, probably one of the lays of the week. Kevin Walters is no genius, but expectations are reasonably high out of the Broncos this year. That they're expecting to play final football. I think that's absolutely delusional. But they're certainly expecting it. So. And the thing with Kev is that he's not Anthony Seibold, so he's no genius. Of course, we might have been lucky, MG, to get away with Anthony Seibold, the former Broncos coach. He testified in front of the Parliamentary Committee about online trolling and how it upset him. Hopefully, he didn't listen to the Little Birdie podcast. I didn't see any mention in the transcripts, but we might have got away with one there. But the thing with Walters is at least he is kind of reasonably liked, and if the side's ready to go, I will play for him.
As we look ahead to our third match of the weekend, the New Zealand Warriors up against St George Illawarra Dragons, Saturday 5:30 at Sunshine Coast Stadium. Obviously, New Zealand Warriors can't play across the ditch at the moment. $1.97 the Warriors, Dragons $1.84. The over and under I think that's been kept pretty steady at 45.5. Look, I don't mind the Warriors. I know that the coach has made some interesting selections, interesting signings over the off-season and also for 2023. We discussed it last week, Top Rope, that St. George, Illawarra, 7.5 plus wins is a good sort of multi-bet for the season.
Yeah, it is, and there'll be one win after this week as well. I'm absolutely off the map here, the Dragons. They were 4.5-point dogs 8 days ago. They're now favourites, and I expect them to start in the vicinity of $1.70. You mentioned the interesting signings of the Warriors. OB, the most interesting signing was whoever gave Nathan Brown a check to coach the side. Absolutely ridiculous. And this side is fairly reflective of where his coaching ability is at. So I will say this, the one skill I wish I had was my ability to talk my way into a job like Nathan Brown, because he's done very, very well. I think the Dragons have a really nice-looking side, particularly in the season. A couple of really promising young players, Tyrrell Sloan and Talatau Amone, playing a couple of key positions. I just like how it's balanced up. Ben Hunt, the other half, I think he will complement Amone well, do a bit of organising there. McCulloch, the veteran hooker as well. And this side, they haven't recruited to win a premiership. They've recruited a lot of hard heads, a lot of big bodies out there to protect some of these young kids. And I know it was only a trial. They were very impressive in the Charity Shield. And I expect they'll kind of come out firing. The Dragons were on the fringe of the 8 last year, in and out of the edge of the 8 until the infamous barbecue gate or hit. So I'm not sure they're as bad as everyone's kind of making it. And there kind of has been a bit of buzz about it in the last week or two anyway. But I think the Saints, even at the $1.84, are still significant overs. I've got them rated significantly shorter than that.
I haven't seen the final sides for the Dragons, but Tarek Sims and Burgess been left out.
Yeah, I think that's fairly reflective of the strength of the side that they've got. I don't think there's not too many A graders in the side, but there aren't too many C graders either. There's got a lot of good solid players, and they're playing Jack Bird in the back row, and on the other side is Jaden Sewer. So he played Origin last year. Yeah, no room for Tarek Sims. I think they've got a lot of big bodies on the bench. George Burgess couldn't get a run, so. This is I couldn't argue with either of those decisions. To be honest, whenever a Sims gets dropped to reserve grade, I always think it's a positive sign. So I think this is a real lift for the Dragons. I think they are going to be very, very hard to beat.
And anything else you're looking forward to in round one there, Top Rope?
Looking forward to seeing the Roosters absolutely thump the Knights. I think they've got a history of thumping the Knights. I think the Knights are a very fraudulent side. I think, if the weather's good, SCG, seeing James Tedeschi back with Luke Keary, I think we're going to see some really, really good football there. Interesting to see what side the Storm rolls out. They've just lost an all. Jesse Bromwich out with COVID. Pappenhausen hopefully gets the all clear to play. As I know, he's one of MG's favourite players other than Cam Munster. But hopefully it's him. And any time we get to see Brandon Smith and the cheese in action, that's always entertaining. Probably not looking forward to the final game of the week, the Cowboys and the Bulldogs. It is going to be a hellish week for whoever loses that game. And as someone who wants to see Trent Barrett fight, I'm not sure whether I'm cheering the Bulldogs on or not.
Oh, we've got to back Gus Gould's Bulldogs. I think we've multied up the Cowboys for the spoon there. So I think that was a little tip from Top Rope last week that we've put into a nice little multi to get the season off to a good start. Top Rope, thank you very much. It's great to have you with us again. Punters, you can locate the greatest game of all for $22 a week in the littlebirdie.live shop for all your NRL betting action. Top Rope, thank you. We'll get you back on the line next week.
They say Andrew Johns had one of the great debuts, but tough to beat OB's debut in the chair on the Friday Lines podcast. Well done, champ.
I thank God I've had some water here. The mouth's getting a little bit dry. But anyway, we've got through it. And that's a wrap for this week's Friday Lines. Thanks, MG. Thanks, Top Rope. You can follow us on YouTube. Find us in the Apple Store, on Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow at Little Birdie TV on Twitter or Insta. And remember, for all your footy betting action can be found at topsport.com.au. I'll be back next Friday. Don't forget to join Nikki on Monday for First Look with all the weekend's action review. MG, great to have you with us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, OB. Enjoy your weekend.